your Mosquito taxi and takeoff training mission. As per your previous startup training mission, Archie is on hand to run through the checklist with you. So let's get started.
Brake pressure, 200 pounds per square inch. If the pressure is low, ensure that the pump is definitely building up pressure. If not, the aircraft should not be flown.
Carry out a visual check of the pressure gauge and that it reads 200 pounds per square inch.
Wheel chocks. Request removal by ground crew.
Making contact with the ground crew is a two-stage process. First, we need to open the port or left-hand window. Move the mouse pointer over the highlighted handle and depress the left mouse button. Having opened the port left-hand window, you now need to contact the ground crew, using the right Alt and hash or right Alt and / keys to access your comms menu. Instruct your ground crew to remove the wheel chocks by selecting option 11, followed by option 8, then option 4, and finally option 2.
Chief, remove the wheel chocks.
Copy. Wheel chocks are now removed.
Flaps fully up. Select a neutral.
Visually check that the flaps gauge reads 0 and the flaps lever is in the centered neutral position. You have now completed the pre-taxi checks, and it's now time to taxi to the runway. Let's close the port left-hand window by moving your mouse over the highlighted handle and depressing the right mouse button. Apply the parking brake by first depressing and holding down the W key for your wheel brakes. Keeping the W key depressed, use the left Alt and T keys to activate the parking brake mechanism, and whilst left Alt and T is depressed, release the W key. The parking brake should now be set. We are now going to taxi to the left, and you will see a smoke marker is highlighting where you will need to turn to access the runway. Taxiing the Mosquito is the same as many British aircraft of the era, and if you own the Spitfire, the process is exactly the same. To steer the aircraft on the ground, we use a combination of rudder, wheel brake and throttle inputs, and your control column or joystick must be held fully rearward. If you wish to turn left, apply left rudder whilst depressing the wheel brake and apply throttle smoothly as required. This will keep the aircraft moving whilst in the turn. Once you are heading in the desired direction, you can straighten up the aircraft by repeating the above process but applying right rudder this time. You will constantly repeat the above throughout the ground handling process. Now that has all been explained, let's proceed. Depress and hold the wheel brake W key to release the parking brake and keep the W key depressed. Move and hold your control column or joystick fully rearward. Slowly apply throttle until the RPM gauge reads 1200 RPM. and then release the wheel brake using the W key. Your aircraft should now start rolling forward. To start your first turn to the left, depress your left rudder pedal, and whilst doing so, depress and release your wheel brakes once. Your aircraft should start to turn. Keep applying left rudder, throttle and brake inputs until you are heading in your desired direction. Now straighten up your aircraft by using the right rudder, and whilst doing so, depressing your wheel brakes W key once. Repeat both left and right turns as necessary to keep your aircraft moving in a straight line. You may also adjust throttle inputs as required. You are approaching the right turn to enter the runway. It may help if you first swing left and then make a full turn to the right using the rudder, wheel brakes and throttle as previously described. Enter the runway by turning to the right and come to a complete halt, as straight and as close as possible to the runway centre line. Now we will run through the pre-takeoff checklist with Archie.
Elevator, Mark 6. Flaps up. Lightly loaded, half division, nose heavy. Heavily loaded, 1 division, nose heavy. Flaps 15 degrees down, all loads, 1.5
Below your left armrest is the elevator trim wheel. Lift the armrest by moving your mouse pointer over it and depressing your left-hand mouse button. Move your elevator trim with the following key combinations: nose down, right control plus some. You can check the number of divisions you have set by viewing the highlighted trim gauge. As we are lightly loaded, the gauge needs to be set to half a division nose heavy or nose down. Once correctly set, press your space bar to continue.
Rudder slightly right.
Move your rudder trim with the following key combinations: rudder left equals right control plus Z, rudder right equals right control plus X, or use your bound POTAS buttons. The needle needs to be in line with the letter T of the word trim marked on the indicator. Once complete, press the space bar to continue.
Aileron neutral.
Check that the diamond-shaped pointer above the aileron trim dial is centered.
RPM control levers set to maximum RPM.
Make sure that the RPM levers are set to fully forward.
Fuel, check contents and cocks to outer tanks.
Check visually that you have sufficient fuel for your flight by reviewing the highlighted fuel gauges to your right. Visually check that the fuel cocks behind you are both set to outer tanks. The levers will be positioned left for the starboard tank and right for the port tank.
Flaps up or 15 degrees down. Do not open up engines separately after setting flaps down.
As we are lightly loaded, we do not require any flap settings. So visually check that the flaps gauge reads 0 and that the flaps lever is in the centered neutral position.
Superchargers set to mod, low gear.
Carry out a visual check of the supercharger switch to your left. It should be in the down position if it is correctly set to mod, low gear.
Radiator shutters set to open.
Finally, check both the radiator shutter switches to your front right are in the down position for open. Release your wheel brakes using the W key and move your control column or joystick fully rearward. Slowly advance your throttles until your RPM gauges read 3000 RPM and the boost pressure reads 16 to 18 pounds per square inch.